First of all, guys, everyone, a big welcome to today's webinar. We're super excited to have you here. And as I mentioned before, it is a student-led webinar. So our JK Future Leaders will be speaking at it. Write down any notes you have, even for the questions and answers at the end. I'm going to be sharing now for the first few minutes top tips and tricks as well as we kind of build up for Christmas and it comes into the submission process and everything you need. So make sure any key dates or information just to write it down while you're on the call. So brief overview of the program. Eligibility, as you all know, it's aged from 12 to 19 years in second level education. For the Junk Kouture World Final, we actually have a Junior Designer of the Year award as well. So just so you're aware of that, that's for students aged 12 to 14 years of age. Another thing that's very important that you guys are for sure all aware of is entry is for a maximum of 3 students per every design. So for example, Ella there, she was a solo designer and won the London Designer of the Year by herself. She chose to also model it, but then you have students of up to 2 that could have a friend modeling, but it is very important that it's maximum 3 students per design, and that includes the model. Another really important piece of information, kind of as we move into after Christmas, is around the submissions and the responsibilities you will have as a student outside the role of your educator. So 1 student per design is responsible for uploading all of the design information onto the Junk Kouture web app. However, on this Junk Kouture web app, every single student, again, not until the submission window opens, so don't worry about it now, but every student will have to register on the web app and must connect to their design team. So be sure when you're submitting your design, all 3 members are connected on that web app when it comes to submission. Submission dates, again, write this down, is between the 27th of February to the 13th of March of 2026. So that's going to be fast approaching, you could say, after Christmas time. But just to have this in mind, you can submit any time within this window gap. And this is the time also you create that registration on the Junk Kouture web app. Then April time is around the judging selection process. So followed by that, it is the virtual city finals, and then the top 10 designs from each of our territories in the UK, Italy, France, the UAE, US, etc. are then selected to participate at the Junk Kouture Live World Final. So a brief overview and run through just on the resources. They're all student-led, so it's not even up to the responsibility of your educator to go through these with you, but you guys should be self-motivated and should take these, with you after school as well and make sure you're aware of what we have to offer. So the Junk Kouture Handbook is an essential JK resource. Inside you have the introduction, how to get started, the whole process along with how to submit your design, and then beyond the competition cycle. I'll flick through these now fast enough. The Junk Kouture lesson plans. So inside we have 10 lesson plans and they're all around an hour long that you can, again, do within classroom or outside. They're all there as a piece of guidance, broken down really, really simply with even homework ideas, worksheets, questions for reflection, structured in a really clear way for you to then help you get to that final design submission in February and March. So brief overview on the lesson plans. As I said, we have 10 and just clearly broken down for you here in different stages of the competition cycle of when to complete them. We have lesson plan 1 to 7 at this phase of the competition cycle. So that's your mood board, your sketching, materials, techniques, circularity, a really important one. That's a new one for this year. And then you go into the creation phase of the Junk Kouture design. Then as you come back kind of after Christmas, really February, March for the submission, you're going to look at lesson plan 8 and 9 to support you on the photography and videography of your design. Then there's another lesson plan to kind of show the opportunities that are available after the Junk Kouture competition cycle. So I'm going to flick through now as well and show you some worksheets and inspiration guides If you haven't seen these yet and you're not aware of them, I want to show you them now. So after this call, maybe this week or next week, you can start downloading them and using them to your own use. So the worksheets that we have, for example, lesson plan 2 on sustainable development goals, you can see here very clearly, it will help you visually bring that design concept and idea to life on what SDG you want to focus on. Similarly with the mood board, people create their own digital or paper mood boards. That's completely fine. Here's a piece of guidance to help you create your own mood board on what Junk Kouture suggests that you should think about. Then we have sketching. So mannequin set, very straightforward and simple for you guys to draw on. Another lesson plan 5 on materials. We have an A to Z material inspiration guide of a whole range of past materials that were used. I think, yeah, it's super inspiring for students to have a look at this and see, what materials can be upcycled, because essentially everything can be. So that's another resource there. Then as you move into lesson plan 6, a top resource that we provide is on techniques, on the kind of STEAM elements. So broken down to your science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We provided where we break down the elements of different materials between your plastics, your nature, your paper, but we break it down to more steps. So it's not just paper, but we have cardboard, cards, magazines, wood pulp, and then also newspapers are all different elements and materials of paper. Similarly with plastic, you have your CDs, your plastic bags, packaging. It's all there, but we provide inspiration on what SDG you can connect it with by using this material. Again, only pieces of ideas. And also as you flick through, we provide pieces of techniques that you can use, the top techniques, I would say, on these materials in order to manipulate them. Then lesson plan 7 on circularity, again, all there is a piece of guidance to kind of chat through and make sure you have thought of everything possible for your design process. So this is a really important piece here. It's in the Junk Kouture handbook. It's also available as its own one-page PDF, but the Junk Kouture submission checklist. So be sure you have hold of this, because when you come back after Christmas, it's going to be really essential that you start collecting all of these pieces of information to have it ready in time for the submission. So brief breakdown, you have to come up with a design name, your creator, so all the students involved in your design making, your educator, school name and school address, that's all fine. Then you have your design description. So that's a maximum of 250 words, has to be written in third person, and you're going to share with us, the JK community and team, but as well the Junk Kouture judges, the story, inspiration, sustainability message, key skills and learnings in one very strong narrative. So all of that's really important to start thinking about now in 250 words. Then you're going to have a selection to click on what SDG you chose. Again, can be one or more, but look at the example down here of how you will have to write that. Then we're going to have a list of 1 to 5 main materials only. So you'll hear from the 2 students now on the main materials that they use, but maximum kind of 5 materials that you use. So list that as well in the submission checklist. Then techniques. So that's a new one for this year, because the judges want to know, did you, learn new techniques between crocheting, sewing, melting, plastics, whatever it is. So add your top techniques as well. Then you're going to upload 10 images max. Again, I'll talk about that briefly shortly, more information, and a short video of maximum 60 seconds, along with a music link. If you get through, that will be the song that you will perform with. So lesson plan 8, as we move into this stage, this is here now as kind of end of January, February time, you're going to start looking at this lesson plan. It's really important to take a look at a past example of how to submit a very good design. So the design must be worn by the model using a smartphone, a camera, whatever you have. Make sure it's a mix of portrait and landscape shot, that's no problem, on a plain background, as you can see here, with very good lighting. You can add in maybe a creative shot like the student did here, and maybe your mood board and some sketches as well that you want to show the judges. No blurring or editing, because that can cause, well, we can't really see the design clearly. For the videography, and this is my last slide here before I pass you on to the students. So you can see here, this is really important, and I've highlighted it in red and bold. So upload a video of maximum 30 to 60 seconds. The film has to be in landscape mode only. So this is landscape here, not portrait. So YouTube format, not TikTok. No background music, etc., or effects or text or any of that kind of stuff. Just very simple and very, very plain. Ideas of things to include: introduce your design team, share the inspiration of your design, show the techniques that you used, capture the design being worn, and any creative and close-up shots as well. Another piece of advice: instead of adding music or anything, add a voiceover to your video as well, because by adding that, you're able to narrate the story, the sustainability message, the skills used, and you can share even more with the JK community on how you developed your design.
Ever since S1, I was really excited about Junk Kouture when I first heard about it. I've always had a passion for art and photography and fashion, and I love like creative thinking. So, as was said, I have entered Junk Kouture 3 times, and I'm thinking of entering again this year. And I first, yeah, as I said, I first discovered Junk Kouture in S1 through the school academies program. And my design that last year that got me to the world final was called a steampunk desire, and it was inspired by the steampunk aesthetic, burning fossil fuels, and the shared determination that me and my group member had to create change in our environment. So yeah, steampunk desire was inspired by a love for fashion, glamour, and the steampunk aesthetic. We wanted to create something really dramatic that looked amazing on the runway, and it was inspired by the climate action goal. And the design is raising awareness for global warming and symbolizing factories burning fossil fuels and damaging the planet. So the bodice is made from paper mache. We collected loads of old newspapers. My grandpa donated loads of them to us, and we created a paper mache bodice because we wanted something really structured, and we embellished it with all these nuts, bolts, chains, and cogs that we collected from my teammate's granddad. And the long white train is made from bubble wrap that we got from everyone. They gave us all their old packaging materials, and we got the school to donate the old school uniform, and we tea stained that to make it look more sort of worn and sort of rough and worn. And yeah, that soft flowing shape sort of contrasts the hard bodice. So that's the sort of dramatic look we wanted to create. So the impact on me, it's taught me a lot about like time management, because I get distracted quite easily. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always sort of taking a long time to finish things, but it really taught me to sort of get my head in the game and really manage my time in the most effective way. It confirmed that I want to continue a career, like a creative artistic career in life. Like I really want to pursue the arts now, because Junk Kouture sort of confirmed that I just love being creative so much. I also learned a lot about sewing, design, and working well under pressure. And walking the catwalk like has massively boosted my confidence, taught me to be expressive. Taking part in Junk Kouture was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'm not just saying that. Like it was so exciting. It was amazing to be part of such a like creative and expressive community, meeting so many people that had a similar sort of crazy creative mind to mine. The world final was a lot of fun. It genuinely felt like I was a real model. So if you're look forward to that, we were treated with so much kindness, and having like all these people helping us out backstage, it felt really like professional, and it was so exciting to meet like loads of people that had such amazing designs. So yeah, that was amazing. So top tips: break tasks into clear chunks. So it's good to it's good to get a list down of everything that you're going to need to complete, because I sometimes get distracted and I go off in a sort of like whirlwind of different things. And if you have a list of the definite things that you'll need to get done before submission, then you'll be able to sort of focus more clearly. And if you're in a group, give each person a different job, because it's better to have your own job of something that you're really good at than all be working on the same thing at once. So focus on something that really sort of showcases your own skills. And also don't rush. As much as I'm saying you need to sort of get it done, don't rush it, because the worst thing is when you've rushed it and then you regret rushing some bits of it. So it's amazing to sort of work really slowly but surely, because slow and steady does win the race, but just obviously there's a submission date. So
folks. Yeah, so as Brona says, I was lucky enough to be the London Designer of the Year for 2024. My junk couture journey started quite young, actually. When I was 9 and there was like a Scottish section of the competition, I was lucky enough to go with my mum along to the Glasgow presentation and see my school compete, which was incredibly inspiring. So I've known I wanted to do this competition since I was 9. I started collecting materials then, and the main thing that was important to me at that time was my running. My entire family runs. It's always been in my life, so it was quite natural to me to start collecting that material. I had been running for 10 years, I think, so it was like a decade, huge celebration of my achievements. And I think the most important thing is, I've got it written here, is finding my design story. So for me, my design story was about my running. It was so interwoven into me that it came quite naturally. It was easy to get materials, and it was something that I'm really passionate about. So then that translated really well into my work, I think. So my design story, I decided to focus on this woman down here. Her name is Brona Samuelson. She won the first women's Olympic marathon. So that year it had been 40 years of the women's Olympic marathon, which is insane to think about when you think about how many men's Olympic marathons there had been. So I wanted to focus in on these 2 SDGs here, which is good health and well-being and gender equality. There's always been this idea that women who run long distances, it's not good for their health, which is completely untrue. So that was something that I was really passionate about, and I knew I was going to be able to find lots of inspiration from women that I run with, as well as from Brona, this trailblazer of sport. So researching material impact as well. Races, running events create a lot of waste. Water bottles, tinfoil blankets, running numbers, even just putting on the events themselves produces a lot of horrible stuff we don't need really, and very much single-use items. So that, again, easily translatable into design. This image down here was my main inspiration point. Joni has got she's shredded her bib for aerodynamics, which will make sense as I show you more photos of my design. But she's shredded her bib and she's got this kind of silvery vest on. So that's where I started off. So this is where I began. I began with the skirt construction. The skirt was something that I knew from the beginning that was my shape, my look. I wanted to go about that. I used these shredded bibs. So my running club donated a lot of numbers, but also I've been collecting numbers, as I say, since I was 9. So I had tons of these running numbers that I cut up into strips inspired by the image, and then hand glued each of the individual strips onto a kind of main body. The structure was 18 panels, each with 32 holes cut out, hand scalpelled out, with male-female joints in order to create this kind of rippling effect. So something that's really important is to think about how it's actually going to work. So that was why I kind of cut out the holes of these panels to make sure that it sat the way I wanted it to sit. Don't make your design delicate. That is something that unfortunately Brona and I know the struggles of. At lots of events I've had to fix my design quite a lot, and as much as I was really happy with the end result and the photos, it definitely did make an impact. But in the backstage area when I was trying to walk past people, not the best. But I would say think about big shapes. Make sure it's impactful. What's actually going to look good on stage? Think about silhouette. And also, if you're going to do silhouette, I decided to do this hoop skirt underneath, which I got from a charity shop. And it's really important that when you're storing your design, don't leave it on the structure. Unfortunately, I kind of stored my design on the petticoat and this hoop skirt, which meant that over time the skirt kind of flopped down a wee bit and maybe didn't look as good as I wanted it to look on the day. Not a complete nightmare, but just something to think about. Think about how you're going to make your design stay exactly the shape that you want it to stay. So bodice creation, play, play, play is what I've said here. I got really stuck in this mindset that I needed to make a bodice out of the ribbons of the medal. I knew I wanted to do a corset because I really wanted to play about with this idea of femininity and the contrast between sporting achievement and like very stereotypical feminine silhouettes. I wanted to create this big skirt and this corset. And I got too stuck in this mindset that I needed to make it with the ribbons. Don't do that to yourself. I thought it looked really good on the sketches, and it did, but it just ended up looking messy, and it took away the impact of the skirt by bringing in all of these, you know, different patterns and different techniques. So it's okay to explore your materials, make changes to your design. It's okay to have lots of concepts. Think about colour palette. For me, I knew I wanted black and white in it, and the red and blue just made it too much. So play, 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 have fun with it, change it about, but don't overwhelm yourself with ideas. Just keep it simple, one at a time. So this is what my bodice ended up being. It ended up being very metallic, mixed what am I trying to say? Mixed metals. So I made this out of tinfoil blankets. Tinfoil blankets are typically used at the end of a race to keep contestants warm. So I wanted this idea of something comfortable and something that was this idea of safety. So I then translated them into these medal shapes with circular. I glued them to paper and then punched them out. And then hand sewed them on to a second-hand corset, which created this fabulous effect. And I thought that looked much, much better and much more impactful than the red, blue and white. I've written here, just to be pretentious, a wee Da Vinci quote, which is simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And it is very true. It's keep it simple. You don't need to use a million materials. Having one or two materials can also make as big of an impact, and you get to use more of that material. So in a way, it's quite good because you can, you know, use as much of it as possible. And really think about impact. How will your design look on stage? This is my friend Saskia in this photo there. I did end up modelling it myself, but Saskia, bless her, was put into that corset many times to walk up and down my school corridor. And I really liked looking at the way the light hit the bodice, and it made such a difference to kind of look at it on somebody else and be very objective about it rather than trying to look in a mirror and kind of look around. So even if you're not planning to use a different model, I think it's definitely beneficial and definitely good for your decision making to pop it on somebody else. So then I moved on to accessories. So I did first skirt, then bodice, then accessories. What's going to actually improve your outfit? What ties to your story? You know, it's not, you shouldn't just chuck something on because you want to have another thing. I wanted to do some kind of structure with a track like wrapped around me and all very dramatic and very Galliano-esque, but I decided it was too much at the end of it. So I went for this laurel wreath, which is a symbol of victory. A lot of Olympians used to be given it. And it's because I worked with a florist. So I used to do Christmas wreath making classes. And I made this laurel wreath instead, which ended up being just as impactful, but still, you know, fairly simple. And I made this necklace and a bracelet as well out of safety pins linked to my story. It added to the outfit, didn't distract, and the accessories were simple but effective. Don't overdo it. It's you know, there's Chanel's famous quote is like, take one thing off before you leave the house. and take one thing off before you put your design on stage, and use it for your next year. You know, you can always use it for your next entry. Yeah, I decided to set up an Instagram as well as a TikTok. It was quite good as it kind of got me chatting to my fellow contestants before I even got to the competition. So instantly I was kind of making those connections, able to chat to the Junk Kouture account, and, you know, got to kind of show my journey and show different parts of the design. And I know my friends and family enjoyed it. I hope other people enjoyed it. And I think it was definitely beneficial to kind of also just be able to see other people's designs and have a nosy, see what your competition is, do better than that. But yeah, see what other people have actually, how they've constructed their garments is definitely really important. And be silly with it. It's all right to have a bit of nonsense. So there you go. I went to Dublin for the World Final, which I'd never been to before. I got to do some Junk Kouture events. We had panels with previous contestants, which were fantastic. You got put into groups and could discuss it with other people. Tours of the city were fantastic as well. I'd never been. So, you know, they really take care of you and make you feel important, and you're kind of a mini celebrity for the weekend. So that is a really, really fabulous experience. When you're traveling, make sure that you have a very, very big box, but also that you can carry said box. I think I eventually had like 3 or 4 people helping me carry the huge big bike box that my skirt was in, which was a wee bit of a pain. Don't change your design to fit a box. Change the box to fit your design. And then it was competition day. So I would say biggest tips for competition day is rehearse. Give yourself the best opportunities to succeed. When you're getting ready, just breathe, take your time, don't get into your costume too early. If you do, you're just going to be a bit uncomfortable and you'll find it quite weird to talk to people. And you need to talk to everyone, talk to everybody, go up to people, compliment their design. But, you know, talk to everyone, make sure you're making those connections. Get your Instagram, that's where the Instagram is definitely helpful. Get your Instagram up, and make sure you get everybody, because I still speak to some of the girls I met there. Bring comfy shoes, please. I was really lucky that my garment was based on sports, so I got to wear trainers. But a lot of my fellow contestants, like there's Tabitha down here in cerulean, which is a beautiful dress, but she was wearing heels, and also John in his Queen of the Kings outfit, also insane heels, which he looked fabulous in, but I know his feet were aching all day. So bring some sliders that you can chuck on. Also solo contestants, which I was, practice putting on the costume with whoever will be there on the day. So I was really lucky that Junk Kouture took me to Cannes Film Festival earlier this year as well. I got to bring my design to Cannes and kind of walk around and meet previous contestants as well, who are all pictured here, looking fabulous. We also got to go to Monaco for the day and have a Monaco gala. So it is really just getting to meet people is so fantastic, and getting to people who are inspired by the same things you are and enjoy the same things that you enjoy. Yeah, it's a really, really great opportunity. So this is where I am now, currently at this moment. I'm going to London College of Fashion and I study knitwear. So that's where Junk Kouture can lead you to. I put it all on my portfolio and I applied here, and now I'm lucky enough to be actually studying fashion and a fashion course. So my main kind of final points would be to make it fashion, make it couture, make it look good. I mean, you're presenting, yourself, you're presenting what you value. So make sure that you actually have an outfit you're proud of, because that will make it so much easier to feel confident on the day. What's your meaning? Find a story. Find a story that you're really inspired by. It helps actually create a passion, and you can really get your nails into something. And it helps you kind of, have a reason for doing it. You might feel a bit unmotivated one day and go, do you know what, actually, I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this to tell this story. Keep it simple but effective. Focus on impact. Impact is everything. Impact on stage, impact on your life, impact on everyone, and focus on connections. And everybody says it, but it's true. You need to have fun and enjoy the day. Keep it simple. It's it's not complicated. It's just work, and it's fun work. So just get on with it in a way, and you'll make friendships and connections all over the world and get to do fabulous things. So I'm excited to see what all of your designs are and see next year's final.
Hi, I'm Emily. A little bit about me. I took part in Junk Kouture, as was mentioned, in 2023. That was my final year of high school. I'm now studying bioengineering at Cornell, and I'm coming to you right now from New York. So I first learned about Junk Kouture through my art teacher, actually, Allison, who shared with me the website for Junk Kouture and also Instagram posts. And she was like, "This is so cool. You should do this." And I was so thankful to her for bringing Junk Kouture to my attention, because otherwise I would never found out about it. And I had already been interested in fashion, and my senior capstone project for high school was actually making vegan leather from mycelium, which I was growing in the art basement. But that was indicative of the fact that I was already very interested in fashion, and Junk Kouture was just a way for me to take my interest to like another level. And I joined Junk Kouture because it perfectly aligned with my interests at the time and also currently. And also the process seemed like a lot of fun. So my design was called Older Emotions, and it was mostly made of upholstery from there was a company that was liquidating all their upholstery like material, and that's where I got that upholstery. And it's also made of VHS tapes, which is like those black like strips flying in the picture there. And it was mostly crafted with like the main upholstery was sewed together, but the tape there was for the VHS tapes, there was a significant amount of super glue utilized there. And the theme I really wanted to stick with was like 1980s. And I had this vision because the upholstery is so structured. It's like such a thick material and it holds its shape very well. I really wanted to play to that. So that's why I wanted to stick with 1980s, like the shoulder pads, kind of like that kind of theme. And the personal connection I had with this design was the fact that the VHS tapes are very flimsy and they fly everywhere. Like even a little bit of wind or walking around, they go like everywhere. But like the upholstery is like so thick, so settled, and like the contrast between the rigidity and like the fluidity was very interesting to me, because that also comes back to the fact like I figure skate, and that's also a part of figure skating. Like you have to be very strong, you have to be very like stiff at times, but you also have to like do these crazy bendy things. And so like the contrast as it exists in everything really, but that was my personal connection to it. And I really wanted to focus on showing how like even the upholstery, which was going to be liquidated, and the VHS tapes which were actually old tapes, also by Alice, my art teacher Allison, that I got hold of those from. They weren't going to necessarily be used for anything, but through like this process with Junk Kouture, they got new life. They got to like see the light for the first time in a while, or maybe ever. Process, the timing and the learning of this whole project. So this whole thing took me about a month-ish, from like thinking of the idea, like drawing out the design, and then like making it. I would say for advice on how to finish your designs on time, because I'm sure lots of you have like really big ideas and your sketches look insane, but like making a clear plan, and by that I mean like you have like on this day or this week I'm going to get this part of the design, like the bodice done, or I'm going to make the base of everything, and then I'm going to add embellishments for the next 3 weeks, and like making that kind of very detailed schedule. And it'll help you avoid wasting time and also material, which is like also comes back to sustainability. So making a very good schedule and a good breakdown for yourself and sticking to it is very important, I think, for finishing on time. I also found out about Junk Kouture very late in the process, so that's partly why it was like very important for me, even more so, to like really budget my time. And in terms of trial and error, you should always constantly recheck your construction, because if you made something like a couple weeks ago and you're on another part now, it's possible that whatever you used like before, that thing might have fallen off or is very loose. So always check like consistently to make sure that it's secure. And experimentation and repeated adjustments really strengthen the final design, so that's also a very important aspect. I'm going to talk a little bit more now about how Junk Kouture has impacted me. So obviously it's a huge project, and completing that and then presenting it alongside so many other unique interpretations and designs, it really it really gave me a strong sense of accomplishment and purpose. And you feel like the collective effort everyone puts into the experience, like you really feel that energy, especially like at the world final, for example, where everyone is like together, like in person. And the chance to work more, this project also gave me a chance to work more closely with my art teacher than I think most people would get a chance to with their art teachers. And I think that was just a very important personal connection for me as well. This experience also taught me how to adjust plans when things don't work. We learn that all the time through different life lessons, but this specifically, there's like higher stakes. So that really hammered in the lesson even more. It also taught me like when to refine an idea and really double down on it. Like, I want to make this happen, versus like when to change direction. Like, this is probably not the best thing to do given the time frame I have, or it's like doesn't seem feasible the way I'm approaching it. It's also this experience also the first time I really stepped out of my comfort zone in terms of like putting myself out there, like putting something I made out there, and then also like literally stepping on stage and walking it during the world final. And that made me realize like, oh, it's not so scary. And I think that came at a good time, because the transition between high school and college is like, you really have to like, it was a great kickoff for me finding myself, I guess, in that way. And it also taught me, the experience like also taught me to reinforce, it also reinforced the desire for me to pursue sustainable material development. And that's partly why also I'm studying bioengineering right now. So I'm hoping that these tips that I'm going to leave you with are at least semi-helpful. But the scale, and also talk about like a little bit more about my experience, the scale of the production, especially the like world final and the global community, is like truly remarkable, especially if you've never experienced anything like it. And it shows that there's a worldwide stage for sustainable fashion. People truly care, and there's creators and audiences around the world that really do, more than a trend, more than a fad, care about like sustainability in fashion. And the world final is really hectic, but it's also very well organized, because that's just the nature of like large productions. But the large venue, and there's so much happening at once, and you have to really stay alert and make sure you know what's going on, so you don't miss your call time, or you don't miss like some change that was announced, and you want to make sure you're really on top of things. And it's also really helpful for, like, example, your teacher or an adult will come with you to the world final, and really having strong communication with them is very important during that time, especially because they'll probably be the ones getting all like the new updates and information. And the final thing I want to say is, like, you should give everything you can to your design and develop, like, you really want to dream as big as possible, and you can tamper it down later if you need to, but like, you really should go all out as much as you can for this. And this experience will really help you develop strong time management skills.
Thank you. So unfortunately, Lily couldn't be here today. She was my partner throughout the whole process. I modeled it, but we did the design really split 50-50. We go to Fox Chapel Area High School in Pittsburgh, and we first heard about Junk Kouture through our art teacher. We are in National Art Honor Society, and that's something that she had been telling everyone about and offering us to sign up, and we thought it would be fun. We've never really been interested in fashion in that way, but we've always been interested in art, and we've always been very creative with different things, and we've been taking art classes all throughout high school. So we wanted to learn more about Junk Kouture's mission, and we heard about the sustainability effort, and we thought it would just be an enjoyable experience. So we signed up, not really knowing what exactly we were going to get ourselves into, but we wanted to try something new. And I'll get into the design materials in a minute. Okay, so our design, it was mostly composed of, the base was a graduation gown. We had plastic spoons, an old tutu, ribbons of different sorts, and other tissue paper things, other various little items. We collected them through different sources. Lily's grandma had an old graduation gown from something. I don't really know what. We started collecting spoons from school and just at home, plastic spoons that are in the cafeteria and things like that, just from our daily school lunches and breakfasts. We collected some of the party supplies like the tissue and the ribbons from birthday parties that we've had, and my shoes from an old homecoming dance that we revamped and added ribbons to and things like that. And kind of the materials that we found and decided to use inspired the theme of the dress, which is sort of milestones throughout our life, which included birthday parties, our homecoming dances, and soon to be graduation. We're seniors now. So we incorporated that all into a sustainable dress. And the whole process took us a couple months. We did kind of procrastinate it for a while, but then we started working really hard on it when we realized how big a deal it could be. And we spent a few art classes in school doing it, but mostly it was at home. But it was honestly still enjoyable because we would just kind of hang out all day and work on it. We would have set days that we were just going to do it and spend the whole day together and just work on our dress because we are close too. And advice we would give to other students in this competition is to not procrastinate, because although we did procrastinate a little, we still did have a lot of time left over. It just takes a lot of trial and error. We started off using some old wrapping paper, which we soon discovered wasn't going to work very well, at least the way we were using it. So we had to switch to using ribbons and spoons, which is kind of random, but I'm glad that we had enough time set to be able to completely switch our materials. The impact on us, this program definitely pushed us out of our comfort zone. It's not something we were used to at all. We had never really done anything fashion related specifically. I know Lily, it was her first time that she was going to be out of the country, which that's kind of a big idea. A big deal, I think. And we learned to work really well together and how to get creative as a team, and we bounced ideas off each other. I hadn't really done a very creative project as a team before this. In our art classes, it's mostly independent work. In other classes in school, I have worked in a team, but nothing artsy, I would say. And we really liked the concept of creating something beautiful from junk, and it kind of inspired us to practice more sustainability in our lives. It made us aware of all the things we would be normally throwing away, such as all the spoons and the ribbons and things that we collected. Okay, now our experience at the competition, we both got to meet so many new people. I made a lot of new friends. I was the model, so whenever we were practicing the runway or just waiting in line for the actual show itself, I was kind of with the same group of a few girls the entire time. So I was spending the whole day with them. And I just really liked getting to meet new people who I never would have met before. So I just thought that was really interesting. And I got to learn about all their different schools and how everything works in different countries, which is really interesting. And we got to learn about a completely new place. Neither of us have ever been to Ireland, and I just really enjoyed that experience. And Junk Kouture, we had whole tours, like tour groups that were all Junk Kouture students, and we all went tour Dublin together. And I really liked that too. And I liked that we had structured activities to do. And yeah, it inspired us to think about how our small actions affect the world and how our plastic spoons can get involved in a creative way.
Hi, as you said, I'm Jose. So yeah, I'm a senior who goes to Fordham High School for the Arts in the Bronx, which is in New York. Um, my design team, so I had two other people with me. One of my members was Haisha and the other was Jojo. Both of them were primarily working on like the trinkets and stuff of the outfit, and Haisha worked on the pants. I worked on the top of the suit, and then JoJo would work on like the hats and like the working clock that we had in the back, because we tried to incorporate actual like moving pieces onto our piece. And so my theme specifically, you can kind of see in the photo, it looks a bit crazy. My theme was Mad Hatter and like Alice in Wonderland, and so we were going for just everything like in your imagination. That's kind of where we were trying to, that's the realm we were trying to live in with our outfit. So it took me a decent while to like create this outfit. We had different stages for it. So we started off with just the planning stage where we're figuring out what our idea was going to be, and then and then we tried to figure out what we had available to us, because we were looking at really what we had in our own like houses. Luckily, I was able to reuse one of the suits I had bought from like maybe, I think, a graduation from middle school for me. So I was able to reuse that suit, and we sewed a bunch of things on it. We ripped it apart. We like basically tore it apart and built it back up to create this outfit. And so the goal was to create like an out of the what was called out of the box design inspired by the Mad Hatter, obviously. So you can kind of see in these photos, if you look at the like bottom right one, you can see an arm based of the clouds to show like the theme of your head being in the clouds. We had like pants that was supposed to represent tea, a vest on the inside that was supposed to represent the different cards for the Queen of Hearts, because then we're also doing the greater theme of Alice in Wonderland. And the makeup was again more of that cloud theme to like bring it back in. And we had the big glowing cloud hat. On the bottom left picture, you can see our mood board. So those are all the colors we were trying to incorporate, and there's different textures we were going to incorporate into our piece. The materials that we used were like, cotton, fabric, silk, linen, as it says. It was a lot of stuff that we are able to find in our classroom, because to us, Junk Kouture was presented as a, I guess, more of a unit, a class unit. And so we had maybe a good few weeks where they debriefed us on Junk Kouture and exactly what it was, and they presented to us as, oh, we can join if we would like to, but because my school is an art school, we were working on just designing as a whole. And so if you want to take it a step further and do Junk Kouture, you could do so. And so my group decided that it would be an amazing opportunity to do so, and gladly we were able to be. Personally, I have really bad anxiety. Like, I kid you not, every single time I go on stage or anything like that, my body just kind of shuts down sometimes. And so with Junk Kouture, it was something I really had to build myself up to do, especially being the model for it. And once I got on that stage, well, even before that, meeting all these new people in these different countries kind of just, it made me more confident in who I was and how I can do this process, because they gave me so many tips and tricks, because a lot of them already knew how to do stuff like this. And then so once I got on stage, like when we first did our practice run, I was nervous, because you do get a practice run. I was very much nervous, but I wasn't insanely nervous like how I normally am, because again, that anxiety factor that I normally have. And then for the final showcase, once I got on stage, I felt the lights hit me and I just went, because to me it was an experience to showcase what me and my friends have been working on for so long, and I didn't want to disappoint, especially because I know the outfit best, because I've worn it for so long, so I knew how to hit all the angles and how to showcase it the best possible. And also built character, because when I returned back from the trip, I was really confident in who I was and the decisions that I chose to like make, especially when it comes to now my art or like the different outfits we try and make in our school. Because in my school we also do performances, and so whenever I have to give my input on like what the design for certain actors' outfits should look like, I'm very confident in how we can make this work, because I already know how it's gonna feel on my body. Because again, we did Junk Kouture, so that was lovely. Yeah, so this was again one of my first ever competitions. Yeah, my first ever competition I ever did. So it was really exciting for me to meet a lot of new people from around the world. My roommates that I was paired up with, they only spoke French, and so it was really hard for us to like break that language barrier at first. But they ended up being probably one of the sweetest people I met on that entire tour, because, well, not tour, trip, because they showed me their outfit and they showed me exactly what they were planning on doing, and then they gave me so many tips and tricks into how I should work stuff into my outfit. Because yeah, you have competition, but when you're in Junk Kouture, it's more friendly competition. It's nothing hostile. It's never going to be anything like that. You're going to build up with people that you're there with, and hopefully probably still talk to them once you leave. Because I know I still talk to a few of the winners who I'm pretty sure won during my year. And then any advice I would probably just say, 100% believe in what you're going to put on stage because you don't know how far it can take you. For me personally, I at first I there was some doubt in my piece because I felt like I was so crazy because everyone else's felt really cohesive. But I realized the fact that mine stood out so much was just one of the things that made me go even higher in like I could be noticed, if that makes sense. And so when I realized I could be noticed, it made me own my outfit 100%. And so for anyone else who's doing Junkers for this year, I wish you guys the best 100%. I know it'll be a lovely experience for you guys as it was for me, and you'll probably learn so much. And again, be confident in your outfit. You 100% have this.